I can only echo that sentiment. This, to me, should be a little bit ridiculous, a little bit bonkers. As in the bottom left, we're going to start off with the blue Protoss from Psystorm. It is Haas.
And that obviously means that in the top right side of altitude, we are looking at the main base of the Chinese Protoss, one of the many that has impressed us over the last few months, but I think this one really stands head and shoulders above the other Chinese Protosses. This is Firefly. I don't know what if you got to catch the game of Firefly on this specific map against Raynor, but boy oh boy was that clean and impressive.
I did not see that. What was that in?
WTO.
WTL? No,
like 2 weeks ago?
I've missed all WTL for like a month, so...
Okay. Basically, it was just, both players doing like, all right, you want a macro? I'll macro. Very casual Adept, very casual Oracle play. And then Raynor just geared up for one big attack of like Roaches, Ravages, Banelings, but not of like a weak 50-something drone economy, He kind of droned up properly. And Firefly just had the most beautiful, picture-perfect, clean pros defense you can imagine, Stasis trap after stasis trap, set of force fields, new set of force fields, well-timed battery, army in the natural, army in the triangle base. I was like, holy smokes, that wasn't just a hold, that was a massacre. And then he just grabbed everything, ran to the other side of the map, and wiped the floor with Raynor's army. Raynor did in the end win game 2 and won the ace match, which was a rematch between Firefly and Raynor, but that was also close. Now, I know that's PvZ, and some people will think, what does that have to do with a PvP? Not a whole lot, but it just kind of goes to show the level that Firefly can compete at.
Yes. No, and that's kind of fun for me because I really feel as though Firefly has been this player that's been a bit more on the rise, has been very fun to watch, and seeing him get results like that is, I guess, not too surprising. Like, if it was a surprise if someone beats and gets, close matches against Raynor, but if you told me, you tell me that, I'm like, yeah, I believe that Firefly can do that because he's been on that up and, coming kind of track for a while. He's been having, like, performances where he peaks. In WTL last year, he hard carried his team, quite frankly, to a bunch of ace match wins, and he's a big reason they did so well. So, yeah, I can believe it, and he's definitely scary, and honestly, I feel like he's always underperformed in these regionals. Like, when it comes to the regionals, I'm always like, man, why isn't Firefly, like, in a finals or something? Because he never quite makes it that far. Like, he maybe makes playoffs in the past, but, yeah, he always seems to struggle a bit more, and I don't know why, because honestly, he should be doing great in my eyes as we go Robo with an expand versus Robo on one base here, Roddy.
Yeah, maybe this is one of the reasons why he doesn't make finals. Maybe he makes things overly complicated for himself, or he gets at the wrong end of mind games, as has had a probe body tucked into the back of the natural Firefly. Scouting is supposed to be hard in PvP, right? Especially the maps with a ramp where you're like, okay, I hope I have the right build order. Haas is loving life right now. Okay, Haas is not loving life anymore, Wadi, because he's not keeping 2 adepts out of his main base. I mean, I cannot predict these things, mate.
Yeah, it's just like, Haas is like, you're right, this is going to be too easy. Let's let the Adepts in, and you can see how much damage they can do in such a short period of time with the right target fire there. He gets up to 7 kills. Does he have 8? He does have 8 kills off these Adepts. I mean, that is going to be Haas taking a lot of damage, and that does make this attack of Firefly now much more viable. He's going to expand behind this. I think he appreciates he can't do enough to break through. So yeah, I mean, he's just going to expand, warp in some sentries as well. Okay, I mean, this was not what I expected on the follow-up.
No, we open up 3-gate Robo on altitude versus a dude who fast expands. Now the 2 adepts come into the main base, and maybe Firefly is just like, that's actually enough damage for me to just expand myself, even if it's going to be a whole lot later. And he did obviously see that this was going to be hard to break Haas initially, because Haas was going for a Robo, right? Haas wasn't like, oh, okay, I don't know what's happening, I need a Stargate. No, Haas already built a Robo, he expected aggression. But at this point, Haas is obviously going to struggle with not 1, but 2 forms of aggression. And don't forget about the sentries, Waddy. They're still chilling in the center of the map, mate. They're about to force field that Zelnaga watchtower.
Yeah, they are. They're really off on their own journeys. We do force lost mining time here with these Adepts. Now they just escape out of there and, I mean, threaten back in toward the main. So, I mean, causing chaos. Haas is not currently mining any gas, so that's definitely not quite where he's meant to be. Gas is good. It's really useful for a lot of things, honestly, in this matchup.
Including sentries can be force filled in Immortal Wilds. I mean, Firefly's thinking about it. I think at this point, Firefly is just kind of like, wow, so many things have gone kind of well. I'm not even sure. Like, do I still need to be aggressive? Can I do more damage here? Probably. Do I have to? Well, maybe not necessarily. We can also just chill. For Has, though, wouldn't be Has, Waddy, if he didn't have something up his sleeve. And I see a whole lot of blue in the natural Firefly, but I think Firefly has spotted it. So that is big. Well, one Immortal is going to struggle a little bit, but unlike Has, Firefly will make sure that these two Adepts do not get into the main base.
Yep, they are going to be hard denied. The units coming back going to be dealing with this, and Pylon the Natural is not going to live up to all that much. We can go clean it up now, and that's one less Pylon that has us. He is actually taking damage again. Firefly's Adepts are popping off. I tell you what, the last few days of PvP, Adepts have been absolute MVPs of this matchup. We have repeatedly seen Adepts after Adepts just get so many kills, and this game is just like that. 3 Adepts dead for 15 probes so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really supposed to happen. Now, of course, the meta gets a little bit weird when one guy's fast expanding and the other one is going to go 2-gate, and you don't necessarily expect the deaths because isn't it supposed to be Stalkers? But none of that matters, as Has right now is just flying around with his Immortal, and he's like, alright, Firefly, you're very good at finding damage, but I'm even better at it. Now, the last time I saw somebody fly around with 2 Immortals in the Prism, they end up losing the Prism. I do not think Has is going to do this. I do feel that at 5... No, that was weird, man, because the 4 Stalkers wouldn't win the fight against the 2 Immortals. But then, obviously, the Immortals could get stuck, right? So, Has, in the end, is going to do something he rarely does, and that is play it safe. Firefly now drops a Stargate, Wardy. Cancels the Stargate. He warps in the Twilight Council. This is playoffs, mate. Like, I don't even know. 7 minutes in, and this is a bit wild.
I'm like, man, did we start the Americas early? Usually Americas has all these fun, wonky things, but Asia living up to it right now and giving us a wild first game of this PvP. We said it was going to be close. We said it was going to be a bit crazy, and this one has been absolutely all of those things. Now it's Firefly's turn to get aggressive with these Immortals. We saw how well they did for Has just moments ago. We're going to start picking off some probes on this side of the map, so damage to be done. Firefly gets 3, 4 workers almost immediately. Man, he is just chunking through, and they're getting a lot done. At the same time, the Immortals are back on the other side. It's just Immortal Warfare.
Mate, this was an era, right? In Heart of the Swarm, I believe it was, where this really was the standard. Where it's like, alright, you go War Prism Immortal, I'll go War Prism Immortal. Nobody had Blink. And without Blink Stalkers, it is so damn hard to engage this. Because, yeah, you can warp in a couple Stalkers, but they can never kill that Immortal before the War Prism picks it up. You cannot kill the Prism until the Immortals just make their way through your Stalkers. You need so many bloody units to get on top of something like this. And now Has is like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and try to see if I can kill this Robo. Finally, the entire army shows up. Still some nice War Prism micro. Obviously, we can't recall anymore since he has already used that. Firefly doing the same thing on the other side of the map and also still killing workers. And one thing that Firefly has done better, Waddy, is rebuilding workers, right? Because they've both find a lot of damage. But Firefly is still sitting on a 6-worker advantage. And I think that's just because he's been rebuilding them a little bit better.
Yeah, no, 100% with you. As a sentry will go down to the Immortals too. It's funny just how unkillable Immortals have become with this Warp Prism and living up to their name for once, as we do have the Immortals dropping down again. Just going to go for even more pros. We are very low on one of them, but the other has plenty of shields. We'll try and chase for one extra worker. Still just a couple more workers going down, and you're right, all the time throughout this, it's always been Firefly on that income advantage, the worker lead. It's been big for him. He gets an extra Stalker, an extra probe, and Has just going to say, actually, that's enough for me. GG's, and Firefly ends up 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the War Prism on the other side of the map because Waddy, it wasn't just because he lost a bunch of probes to the Immortal. He made a mistake with his Prism. He flew the Prism back in above 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, and he lost the War Prism with 2 Immortals inside of it. He was already in trouble, even if that didn't happen, right? Because a 10-worker deficit, if we're building the exact same units, that is nothing to scoff at. But I was a little bit like, whoa, like, why are we leaving? Like, this game is wild, man. Like, I thought this was just turn 1 of it getting wild. But yeah, losing the War Prism with the 2 Immortals inside of it, that's obviously the nail in the coffin.
Nail in the coffin, and just like that, Firefly has a 1-0 lead in this best of 5. Man, you know, we asked for close, we asked for fun, and this couldn't have been anything more, right? It was just what an awesome way to start this best of 5. And, yeah, I mean, hopefully we just keep the crazies going into games 2, 3, hopefully 4 and 5 as well, because that was very fun. It was very, very fun.
Wait, I think in minute 6, it was like 19 and 27 workers dying. Like 45 probes fell in a 6-minute game. then you definitely cannot say that the mirrors are boring. There's a good chance that we're going to see more Chaos Man, and you can definitely see it a little bit in Firefly's decision-making, where he's like, I'm going to go for the Stargate, because that's great here. If I can just get one Phoenix out, I can disable the War Prism and the Immortals. But then he's like, no, never mind. Like, my economy is too small, and I cannot really justify Stargate right now. So I built a Twilight Council that in the end never even came into play, right? It truly was all about the multitasking dance, the target firing of the Immortals. And it felt that both of them focused a little more on the offense than on the defense. But Firefly just got the best of Has in all of that. And it all started with the initial 2 adepts, though, because the build of Has is superior, right? Max Pax has literally proven that to us by now. Like, hey, if you can do this, this is always better than that 2-gate stuff on the high ground. And then, of course, it's up to the 2-gate player to make something happen. Well, literally the very first 2 adepts shade into the main base and kill 8 probes. We've got a completely different ball game, but that was really not supposed to happen.
No, that was absolutely not meant to be the way it all turns out. We head to Babylon for map number 2, as we have another ramp with or another natural with a ramp up into it. So we'll see what we do. Obviously, we just saw our player Firefly go double gate anyways, tries the 1. I mean, just even the opening build was bonkers. The fact he goes 3-gate robo, he's just like, oh yeah, now I'm just gonna expand. By the way, like, never mind all the
3 sentries.
Yeah.
Like, he just made 3 sentries at home while the War Prism was on the other side of the map. I'm like, I've never seen this. Like, where are we going with this? And I felt that he wasn't totally sure where he wanted to go with it. I think it was kind of just, I'm just going to adapt. I'm going to react on the fly to how much I'm getting done with the Prism, with the adapts. But then he also got attacked, and he had to worry about adapts on his side of the map. And whatever I think the initial plan was of the sentries, it never truly came into fruition, but it doesn't matter. Well, the only thing that matters is that our Chinese Protoss has taken the 1-0 lead here in the playoffs of ESL Masters, our final quarterfinal, by the way. After this, it is time to head into the top 4. In the top left side of Babylon, representing SSLT, or as you would say, the Hungry Camels, this is Firefly.
And down the bottom right, our blue Protoss player probe on the map is actually going to be scouted by another probe over there. This is Has, who now has a very late pylon.
Do you think he was trying to do the Astrea?
Like, walk into the natural? I guess.
Yeah, walk into
maybe.
the natural.
Like, he was headed that
like,
way.
Because, like, this is obviously not... Wait, 1 gas? Okay. Yeah, you're never going to get both, but getting a gas is... Oh, Forge still goes down, Marty! Welcome to ESL Masters Asia! Why are we cannon rushing? Why the Forge so late anyway? Like, I'm so lost, man.
Well, I think the Forge is just late because he just had a pylon late, right? Because he was assuming he's going to put a pylon across the map. Like, he was like 200 minerals without a pylon. Now he's going to pylon wall in...
Cancel the gate. Cancel the gateway. I would cancel it, man. I don't think canceling the gate is a play here. Wait, what is happening? I don't know.
The Zealot's going to get warped inside of the inside of this little wall as well. Oh, this has definitely been something so far. 2 cannons on the way up. Probes will begin to knock down this first pylon. This is a...
Does he have space for 1 more? Or he's just going to build a pylon there? We're going to build 1 more pylon? Okay, so now I guess it's... Oh, but the Zealot is going to... Oh, what?
Oh,
okay,
what?
It goes on the right side. But it will only ever get 1 cannon, though. That is a problem. It will only get 1 cannon. It's never going to get both.
Yeah. This is bad. Those probes have been off the mineral line to try and fight, and the Zealot...
Will it even get 1?
Yes. Gets 1.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but now the gate is going to get unpowered, so Firefly needs to rebuild, I think, a gateway, or he thinks he's going to go for a robo, but he has no gas because he only has 1 gas. Needs to rebuild stuff in his main as quickly as possible. At least 1 more Zealot does come out. I'm surprised that Has is not working on that pylon, by the way. Why are we prioritizing a gateway? Like, this could have been unpowered already. If this Stalker comes out, that is a crime, because it was never supposed to come out, Wardy.
No, absolutely. This was meant to be stopped already, but mistake made. Firefly on the other side did steal a gas, by the way, make Hass's follow-up a little bit weirder as well. There goes the pylon, and continue to fight the assimilator in the main as well, clean that up, and, well, how normal is this going to turn out to be? Because we've got warp gates on from Firefly, he's got his own gate finishing, and all of this is before Hass has a gateway, and his cannon rush kind of just seems over completely.
Yep. I mean, 1 Stalker is obviously not like the sickest thing ever to have to worry about. It's annoying. What is going to happen is Firefly is just going to create a city in the natural of Hass. So you said the word normal, Waddy. Well, nothing normal about this, mate. It's building a base in the other guy's natural. Hans is the one who started it. Firefly says, I'll show you how to do this properly. I mean, the robo is being built at home. So that's a little bit awkward now. It would make more sense if this was done on the other side of the map. But at least he's getting Warp Gate. And I don't know. I guess we'll see where he takes this.
Yep, he's going to start hitting this cannon now as he actually has batteries to heal himself up. As Zealot shows up too and just makes this whole situation awkward. Goes back to the Forge for a few moments. He has high ground vision because of the assimilators. So this is kind of the setup that we have between them at the moment. And I guess we just sit and wait to see if Firefly will break through. He has the prison that's going to come across, and then obviously that gives him some options to bypass this defensive wall at the front. And of course, Haas is a eternity away from Warp Gate.
Yeah, that is true, but Haas can obviously just build units even without Warp Gate. I would say Haas just build another Zealot right now. Build a Zealot, build a Stalker, right? He's kind of queue up the second Stalker. Because I still think it's going to be hard to just fly 4 units into the main base and then expect to be able to get a big warp in, because there's so little room in the main base of Babylon that probes can be very good against Stalkers, right? Obviously, if the probes can get us around. That Robo is more than halfway done for Haas. It's about to finish up even. I don't know. I think maybe Firefly, the best thing he could do, mate, is just warp into Adepts, right? And kind of start thinking about a follow-up, a transition. I think trying to break Haas here, is it possible? Absolutely, especially if Haas starts bleeding out Stalkers like that. Why did Haas never build batteries, by the way? He just refused to get a battery.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, okay, that is going to make it very close. Oh my goodness, he's in trouble.
Now he just loses. He's going to lose this pylon. That's the only one powering the Robo, by the way. So this Robo's about to be depowered. There's not a pylon ready yet. It's going to be a little ways off if we target that, which we will start to do. This Immortal might not get out. Okay, the Immortal will pop. That's good. I still think we focus on the pylon power. Okay, the cannon's actually powered by another pylon now. Chaos. Really, just pure chaos. Popping the barrier on the Immortal.
Oh, Immortal could be in trouble. Immortal could be in a little bit of trouble. There is an overcharge available at least, but this is just a lot of Firefly. Firefly being able to get both of the pylons there definitely surprised me. It all started with Haas already being a bit sloppy on his Stalker micro, taking a lot of damage on one of the Stalkers. And now this just became a whole lot more difficult than I think it actually had to be. Because it would have been very hard for Firefly to really get into the main base. Firefly wants to get that one Stalker. As you're running out of battery energy, we'll now have a second Immortal. Still a chance that he stabilizes, right? Because 2 Immortals are insane. And one of the Stalkers of Firefly does fly. Firefly is going to try again into the natural. The batteries of Firefly are not too full on energy anymore. So he has to be at least a little bit careful.
Yep, gotta give it a little bit of respect here as you can go a little bit overboard, right? As we actually warp in some Adepts now, there's a way in for the Adepts. Maybe that will be good as this Immortal is low. Got a little bit worried about it, but he didn't continue through. Now triple Immortal up. And Firefly just struggling to get up this ramp, of course. It's choked up and everything, so yeah, looks as though Haas is kind of holding on, but I guess to what end in the end of the day? Like, he's holding, but can he ever get out of his own base? He's gonna break down right now. Firefly's just gonna let him. Cool.
Yeah, Firefly is going to let him, but it's also just because Haas is just going to let him warp in the 3 Adepts or drop the 3 Adepts in the back of his main base. We saw that in the PvP between Trigger and Australia. Just because you have an army that can stabilize doesn't mean that you're safe against Adepts. As Firefly was, I think, a little bit derpy there with the Adept micro. Could have killed a few more probes. Is still getting a lot. But if I know Haswardy, he's just going to walk down, and he's never stopping, right? Now he's going to attack on the other side of the map. And now it's Firefly's turn to build a battery in his main base, where he's like, oh no, that is a whole lot of Immortals. There's 2 Adepts of Has, shade deep into the main base of Firefly. And they'll get a couple of probes, or 3 of them by the looks of it. And what is Has going to do right now after he saw, okay, you have an Immortal too, you have a battery. He's got a Sentry. And on top of that, obviously, if Firefly is not expanding, there is no natural to break. But I don't think that has ever stopped Haas from trying.
No, I don't think it's ever come across his mind. 2 more Adepts into the main base from Firefly will just get some more workers. Definitely forcing Haas to be even more committed across the map. I think he was already very committed here. And he's going to have to send it in the next few moments. He's not currently mining as those Adepts just sit there. And with 2 Immortals on this high ground, Firefly has sentries too. It's not even going to be close.
No, I actually think if he would have just chilled for a split second as GG gets called, Firefly gets the 2-0 after stopping the cannon rush, then building a bunch of batteries on the other side of the map, and then we just had a crazy dance of who can out-micro who can find damage. like Has wasn't even in that bad of a spot when, you know, he's down 3-4 workers, but it's one base against one base, right? And the tech does not unfavor him. It's not like, oh no, your immortals are really going to fall off. Firefly basically just had gateway units. That's all he had for a while. I think if in the end he just leaves 2 units at home and makes sure that he, instead from dropping to 19 probes, dropping to 12 or 13, you just kind of keep it at that. You have a Stalker or 2 because he's got the cannons, he's got the batteries. Be very hard for that Warp Prism to find actual damage. He could have just made his own prism, put 2 immortals in it, and take the game from there. I don't think there was that much urgency for Has to be like, well, now I gotta attack you on one base. Like, I don't think it was needed.
No. No, maybe not. Maybe he could just play it out a lot more slowly. Instead, he did not. He went, and now he sits in a troubling spot. We wait for Firefly to have a quick relog, and then we will be into Game 3. Firefly's up 2-0. Has is our final non-Chinese player as well, by the way. Could be an all-China top 4. It's been a bit of a talking point with these merged regions that China has quite clearly come out as just like such a strong region, which we knew in Oliveira, sure, but like I definitely expected a bit more competition from Taiwan, from Nice, Haas, and also from, you know, Mio Maker from Oceania.
Yeah. Well, especially Nice, I think, always has potential. Has had a very strong showing in the group, going 3-1. That did surprise me. One more thing I'd like to touch upon of that previous game,
Sure.
by the way, Wadi, just because I cannot emphasize enough on how big of a blunder that was. He was shooting at the gateway with his one cannon. Like, if that cannon, it pushed out over 300 damage on the gateway. If he would have just gone for the pylon, then that Stalker never comes out. And then I think it already becomes a very different dance, right? Because then I think it's still a very scary scenario for Firefly. He cannot produce a ranged unit. Will not a pylon go up closer to his main base? Does he have to worry about more cannons? He cannot just run his Stalk to the other side of the map and starts applying pressure, start very safely creating that, you know, the pylon and the batteries in the natural of Has. Like, Has, I don't know how he didn't see it, how he didn't catch upon it, but a gateway has like 1000 HP, the pylon had 400. He did over 300 damage on the gate before he ever started going for the pylon. It was a really big blunder because taking out that pylon, empowering the gate, would have really changed the entire course of that game.
Yeah, everything changes. That knock-on effect, that snowballing effect that you usually see, would have been huge. I'm with you, man. There was just no reason to hit the gateway at any point. Like, absolutely none. So, had full range on that pylon. As we head into game number 3, maybe he'll be regretting it. As in the bottom left, our Blue Protoss player is Haas.
That was the man from Taiwan who did go 3-1 and defeat this man in the group stage. But playoffs are a whole different ballgame. In the top right side, we are looking at the main base of the Chinese Protoss that has truly impressed us over the last few months. He looks good. He looks like a very complete player. Representing SSLT, this is Firefly.
What do you think we see from Ancient System? First map without a natural ramp, so maybe 2 gates each, and that obviously invites us into all sorts of possibilities.
Maybe we'll actually get to talk about some normal PvP here, Waddy. We can just talk about all the things that this matchup normally is all about. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been absolutely loving this series, but it'd always be more fun if it was tied up. It has to be a little bit heartbreaking, where especially I think in game 1, Has initially was loving life, because these games have been so crazy, we didn't get to talk too much about the basic fundamentals of high-level PvP, but Has having the 1-gate fast expand and the Robo versus a 3-gate Robo player and the Probe Scout, right? The probe that was hiding in the back of the natural altitude, casually going into the main base. Dream scenarios. Like, some pro gamers will tell you, yeah, that's actually over. There's like nothing you can do anymore as the aggressor, unless the defender truly messed up. So that had to be frustrating for Has. And then in the previous game, it's like, it was a bit weird. He clearly had a different kind of weird rush in mind, but in the end, still got the cannons up, could have unpowered the gateway, could have been his game. Instead, you find yourself down 0-2. It's got to be a pretty awful feeling where you're like, man, this is a competitive quarterfinals. I'm absolutely in it. Yet, I am now 1 map away from being eliminated of this tournament. So, I don't know. Maybe if we are not sure what to do, we can always just bust out a 3-gate Robo and we take it from there with a normal opening.
Yeah, no, that's very true. We just kind of go the aggressive route. Always an option, always open to you. 2 depths opening here from Haas. He's going to have a little bit more gas stacked up for potentially tech structures, although he's also just stacking those minerals and looks pretty interested in taking the low ground. He will pylon block the natural of his opponent, and that will be part of this setup, although 2 Stalkers can clean that out pretty quickly. As is going to put the money into sentries, so Adept Sentry, that's an expansion setup for him for sure.
Yeah, it does. He has done this before on this specific map. I think it was against Maxset, actually, if I recall that correctly. Well, I was like, wow, Has, your opening is wild, man. Like 2 Adepts into Nexus into 2 Sentries. I was like, how do you get away with all of that? That is criminal. Because the 4 Stalker opening may not be all that popular anymore. But if you would have 4 Stalkers and you just run them to the other side of the map right now, like what is Has go to do about that? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And right now we have got 2 Stalkers moving across. We actually found the pylon bottom right, so it looks like he might try and clean that up. The other 2 Stalkers going to try and meet these Adepts. The Adepts will threaten the shade, and that will keep the 2 Stalkers pinned back for a while longer. Still nice that Firefly will at least kill the bottom right.
Though, Waddy. It is very bad because Firefly has dropped the Robo, has dropped the 3 Gate. So I was thinking of maybe Has playing some 3 Gate Robo, or at least just 3 Gate and take it from there. Maybe Firefly has done his homework, because I've seen Has do this exact build on this map, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, that's criminal. Like, that's way too greedy. You cannot open up with 2 Adepts into a Nexus, into double Sentry, because none of that battles very well, right? Like, what's going to trade out against Stalkers here in the early game? Yeah, you have force fields, but even that claim comes in a little bit later. At least for Has, this didn't happen immediately before the battery was up and there were only 2 Sentries, as these force fields are actually kind of cool, but we needed one more. I would have wished he dropped one more there, Waddy, because that seemed like a whole bunch of guaranteed kills.
Yep, you would have had all the Stalkers forced to fight within range of the batteries. We're going to get this pylon if we don't start healing it up.
No.
So both the batteries are now depowered. And we do have another force field coming down. I mean, it's nicely placed. It does net you 1 more Stalker kill. So that's 2 Stalkers down from Firefly. But the Prism's here. The Stalkers are warping in. Yes, we do have an Immortal on the way. Is that enough? It looks like we're going to bypass the batteries by playing into the main base here. And that 1 pylon is powering everything, Roddy. And nothing's in position to defend it as well. So if Firefly can just go ASAP, I mean, the Immortal will get out. The Immortal will be able to put some damage out here. Firefly's fully committed in this main base. But now Has has got his units in position to defend.
Yeah, this is awkward though, because you don't have Blink, right? And the War Prism is going to have a hard time. The Immortal is still alive. I mean, Firefly was just so indecisive there. He's like, do I want to go for the Immortal? Yes, no, yes, no. In the end, he ran to the corner in a world where you would have Blink, right? And it's like, oh, okay, we can just Blink. But you cannot do that. You cannot quickly evacuate 9-10 Stalkers with a Prism. And where it looked like Has was in trouble, Has is now absolutely cooking with these Sentries, with the Adept, with the Immortal. I don't know what's happening, man. Like, these are some crazy decisions that have been made. Firefly, on paper, was in a very good spot if the first 4 Stalkers would have just ran to the other side of the map. That didn't quite happen. Then he absolutely dodged the bullet against the force fields that could have killed at least 3 of the 4 Stalkers, if not all 4 Stalkers. He gets away with that, then goes into the main base, and I think he saw that same juicy pylon that you saw, and he's like, yes. And then he's like, ah, Immortal. Let me activate the barrier. He's like, do I go for it? It's scary because there are force fields in the mix. I shouldn't. And then he ran into the corner like he had Blink, but he didn't have Blink and he could never take that fight. And now he's just in all sorts of trouble.
No, absolutely. He's, well, I mean, you can just see the numbers. Down in workers, down in army. He has nothing to show for any of this, and he is going to get 1 more Immortal and apparently go. Which, yeah, I mean, Has is building a Stargate, I guess, if you want to just build a Phoenix to shut down Prism play. That works right now as well, but it's going to come down to this one big push. Has is going out with his 2 Immortals. If there's ever like a way or a possibility for Firefly, I guess that maybe is something of the opening that may lead to some hope. So we'll see if he can do anything as he pushes to the front, but it is feeling pretty unlikely.
Well, I guess Has just didn't know how committed Firefly is because he hasn't scouted and he's saving all the energy. If you take a look at the units lost there, by the way, Waddy, 1 Adept against 11 Stalkers. When is the last time you've seen that?
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
And it's the guy who's up 2-0 who lost. I mean, this is a lot of Adepts, by the way. This can really complicate things for Has a little bit. Sure, Has, your 2 Immortals are going to have a field day on the other side of the map, but I would say make your life easy about it. Just bring them home. Does he need them? Maybe, maybe not. But if he starts losing that 1 Immortal he's got here, like the Adepts are pretty good against Adepts. The Adepts are good against Sentries. Has, just bring home your Prism, mate, and those 2 Immortals. Make it easy. He says, no, I like it hard. I like it the most complicated way possible. I'm going to pull the probes instead. Has will obviously win this game. That is inevitable. Maybe he made it a little bit more awkward here than it had to be, but it is good enough because he can lose probes for days. Firefly cannot. Firefly is already losing all of his probes on the other side of the map. And Has will win the game with the double Adept, double Sentry. Expand against the 3-Gate Robo. Well, It was quite something, Waddy. We've got a series on our hands, baby.
Yes, we do. Firefly felt like he had this one locked down, and then it's all turned around. So Haas is going to get on the scoreboard. These final few units will finally go down, and that should just be enough to get Firefly to accept the GG and head on into that 4th map. And I've got a couple of mortals still on the upper right. Obviously, they've just been slaying throughout. There it is, GG called, and Haas is indeed on the scoreboard.
That was an insane sequence of events. First with the 4-stalkers that ran deep into the natural. And I was like, okay, the 4-stalker opening is good against the 2 adepts and the 2 sentries, but you have to go immediately. And clearly he didn't go immediately because he was working on that pile in the bottom right. He was chasing the adepts for a little while. So then I was like, okay, a battery is up. You need to be careful against force fields. Oh my goodness, Has gets all of them. Doesn't get all of them. Has didn't drop that extra force field. I'm like, okay, Firefly, you just dodged the bullet. And then he went into the main base, Wardy, and the man lost 11 stalkers for 1 adept. Like,
yeah.
Those are numbers you don't see very often.
That was really, like, horrendous in the main base, wasn't it? Like, it had so much potential into it was just the worst thing he could have done. Backing up into that corner, no way out. You could see he was, like, kind of flustered. He was like, how the heck do I get out of here? He's, like, moving around. Like, he's trying to, like, micro-force dogs, but he's, like, he's not close to actually dropping them on the low ground. So he's, like, still trying to target the Immortal during that. Just made it, like you say, a bit too complicated and too much to do at the same time. Kind of missed out. And, well, now we hand ourselves into this game 4. Haas is on the board. Firefly is not just going to have what seemed at first like it was heading towards a clean sweep.
You can really see the clock wheel starting when he dropped into the main base first. He's like, Juicy Pylon, never mind. Immortal, activate barrier, cool. Now I go for it? No, I cannot go for it. I go for it. No, I cannot go for it. And then he ran into the corner where it was just like panic kicking in. And obviously it all fell apart. But hey, that means that at least we get another series in this quarterfinals. And maybe we can even go to the rubber match. I wouldn't hate it. In the top left side, we are looking at the main base of the man who once upon a time made it to the finals of an offline DreamHack in Valencia. He is representing Storm Gaming. This is Haas.
It was just about 5 years ago now, so still around, still kicking. He was in the bottom right, our Red Protoss player. From the SSLT, Firefly.
I have the feeling that Firefly is not in love with PvP. If I've seen some of his PvTs, I'm like, impressive. Seen some of his PvZs, I'm like, oh my goodness, you are really good. And then I see the PvP, and it's definitely not like bad or anything, but it feels random, wild, chaotic, and I think he second guesses himself quite often, and obviously we can't blame him for that. It is PvP, it is playoffs, the stakes are high, but if there is one matchup where I think you need to be decisive, it has to be PvP.
Yeah. No, PvP is, I mean, if you kind of, fumble around in PvP, you just kind of end up in this weird spot where you don't get anything going for yourself. Like, you've got to be ready to kind of blink in and decide, or to kind of be like, okay, this is my tech, let's go for it, hit my timing. It's a mirror match that can very easily get away from you if you've had an advantage in one way, but then your opponent survives that and they can catch back up. So you got to take what's given to you and what's meant to be there for you a lot of the time.
Ooh, Has gets the Nexus down, and Firefly didn't even... Well, he checked in the main base. Did not steal the gas, even though there was maybe potential to steal gas. Kind of let it happen, Waddy. He kind of just let it happen. Now, that could be a conscious decision where he's like, you know what? I am confident because I'm going to double gate. And I'm confident if I just go for the 3 gate or the 4 gate or the 3 gate robo that I can break you. Firefly definitely puts himself in the position here by allowing that Nexus to go up this quickly where he's like, all right, I know I need to do something. If I don't do anything, this is going to be a very difficult game. I need to do something, but I believe that I can do it. And I'm not even hiding it. I'm going to do it in broad daylight. I'm coming for you. Get ready, Has. I am coming. As we have a Stargate going up at home. Now, that's something I didn't expect, Waddy. This is kind of odd.
It's like the hard sell on like, hey, look, I'm 3-gating you or 4-gating you potentially. And then the Oracle shows up and hits the main base and just kills a bunch of pros. I guess that would be my guess at the plan here, because I don't see why else you would go Stargate at home. And also, like you say, like, he really made sure Haas saw this gateway. Like, he put it down right next to him. It's all about Haas seeing this. So I guess that's kind of part of the trickery that Firefly is going to attempt to play. We have some issues, man. 2 Stalkers, and there's nothing else to defend this pylon. So this is getting, well, Not nasty yet, because the Stalker's actually taking a lot of damage, and the Adepts stay alive, but we actually cancel the gate now. Well,
Yeah. So the plan is kind of cool, right? Where Firefly is making it so obvious that he's doing this, that Has is like, oh, I definitely have to go Robo here, right? Because if we have to choose over Immortals versus Void Rays, yeah, we prefer Immortals. They are just harder to kill than the Void Rays are. Has now also going to drop his own Stargate as he realizes that he's been bamboozled. Either it is a Robo very quickly just to drop Adepts in the main base and kill workers, or it's a Warp Prism to carry Immortals around, or it is indeed Oracles, right? Like, Has now obviously knows, like, okay, this is too good to be true. If you're actually serious about this, I'd be struggling a whole lot more than I currently am. That's why he went for the Immortal. Now it's all about not taking too much damage from these Oracles. And then it becomes very interesting. Like, Has will probably not go Oracle, right? I think Has is a guy that will just crank out a Phoenix and gladly play Phoenix Immortal if you give him the chance.
yep, as the Oracle here is going to turn around. Batteries in position. One Oracle's not doing much. Two Adepts hitting at the front. Have to drop a Revelation and go out. It's obviously not great, and there we go. Phoenix on the way. Phoenix Immortal time, Roddy.
Yeah, and now Firefly has technically the chance. Wait, is he going triple Oracle? Wow,
Yes.
that's wild. Okay, if you talk about hit or miss, this is insane, by the way, guys. We almost never see this. A triple Oracle opening in PvP. The two Oracles are going to fly into the natural, and this is where they will start having a field day. Firefly is starting to find some good damage, and don't forget, there is another one where that comes from. And obviously, one Phoenix is nice, but you can't just expect one Phoenix to kill three Oracles, even though it's very nice if they start jumping on it in the center of the map. Will has seen Fireflies is going to split them up. He says, all right, you can have one of them, because Has will never expect another Oracle, right? He will probably think, okay, now it's just one Oracle, but it's not. It is double Oracle. So here we go once more, but there are 5 Stalkers. And I guess there is a reason why we don't see triple Oracle very often.
Yeah, the 5 Stalkers just in the perfect place, right? So, I mean, I guess where else were they going to be? That's the only, if there's one Oracle, your main base is protected by a battery. The natural was not in the mineral line at least, so it makes sense to have your Stalkers there. So it was just the wrong place for Firefly to head to with the double Oracle that was left over.
Yeah, no, you're spot on there. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, Firefly is under a lot of pressure, right? He's probably nervous. He's like, oh my goodness, Clown Fiesta over PvP. But it makes a whole lot of sense because it's a surprise additional Oracle. And then you even gave your opponent the confirmation that he killed one of the Oracles. So yeah, all the Stalkers will indeed always be in the natural. Firefly should have gone for the main there, but it's a whole lot easier said than done. It's a game of incomplete information, as we like to call it. As now Has also, by the way, made an Oracle where he's like, cool, if your Oracles are dead, I have a Phoenix, you don't have a Phoenix, maybe my Oracle can get something done. And at the moment, Firefly's got literally 2 Stalkers. Imagine if the Phoenix flies in there, lifts one of the Stalkers. This Oracle of has all the potential in the world.
It really, really does. The 2 Stalkers on the far side of the mineral line as well, so not even in position. 2 more warping in, but actually as they warp in, the other 2 went up, so chance to get some damage done. You get 1 probe, and well, that doesn't quite live up to the hype. Into the main base, though, it will.
Yeah, we're not totally done yet. We can at least get 1 more. The battery is not necessarily protecting all the probes there. All right, man, where are we? 7 minutes into this game. We've got charge on the way now for Has. We've got +1 on the way. I can guarantee you guys at home that none of these things that we got to see right now are timings or pre-planned, right? This game is just wild. With the way that it all has played out, with the mind game early on, with the different expand timings, with the Robo into the Stargate, it is just a very wild game.
Yes, no, it really, really is. As our Stalkers Prism moving up through the center with a couple of Mortals attached as well. Firefly originally had intentions to take a 3rd base. He had a probe that got elevated out of the base by a Prism. And he is going to go and put that 3rd base down. So 3rd base gets to start while he puts pressure on his opponent's location. And this is charge against currently no Blink. Eventually it will be Blink on the side of Firefly. And then he's going to have, a nice army. But, they're both playing just completely different styles as well. Firefly should be able to keep a bit more map control with that Blink at least. And that could go a long way as he has 1 Adept of the high ground. He's kind of thinking about the possibility of going here. But it looks like Has is onto him. He's moving into position. And
Whoa,
Firefly's
that's crazy,
met
man.
by everything.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Has's army is literally better than Firefly's army. Firefly still blinks into the main base, at least gets the Phoenix. Nice save there on that Adept towards the end. The Adept actually somewhat useful, right, against heavy Zealot compositions, but that was wild, man. Firefly looks at an army that will literally trade better than his army, that wins the fight straight up, and he's like, yeah, I want a piece of that. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty wild.
It was definitely a decision. Charging +1, but also Dark Shrine, by the way, from Firefly. So he really, behind on the charge and behind on +1, he still has Blink in his favor, but wants to tech up into that Dark Shrine faster than Haas will and give himself some harassing options. He's doing all of this still with the faster third base. It's finally finished up here. He's not taken a worker lead yet, but as he starts to build up probes, he will look to do just that and get that mining in his favor. So, yeah, Haas just going to drop +2 attack upgrade as well, man. Haas is... I mean, Haas's army is good. Maybe he could deny the third of Firefly if it went across the map. Yeah.
Mate, I think it's very good. It's not just good. Like, the Stalker count isn't here. It's 17. That's obviously decent. That's pretty high. As we have a forward blink as he snipes the Nexus minus 400 minerals. I would have loved to see Haas rebuild a Phoenix or two, right? Because the one problem with Haas's army is that it is great to just fight, but it's not great to chase. And I think that's where the Phoenixes would have really came in very handy. Losing that Nexus... I would almost say, like, Haas, go, man. You had 3 Immortals so quickly. But instead, he's just flying around with that Oracle. Does find a couple of probes. He says, okay, you have 3 bases, but they are not saturated. So we basically have the same economy. As that was a cute play, by the way, with the War Prism. Putting a couple of probes inside of the Prism, keeping it safe. As Firefly's main army was kind of stuck in his natural, has finally opened the floodgates. I mean, I still believe in Haas's army. Like, that is a terrifying army, Wardy. But a battery or so, or just very good defensive micro, can turn things around. And don't forget that if Haas loses his observer, he's got no detection, but he gets the heads up that this observer is so important as he spots that DT immediately.
Now you can prep another one as well. Even Cannon starter back at home. And he's obviously got this massive army just sat here ready to fight. And Firefly... can he defend? He does have Super Battery on his side, and he will use it right now. He's going to get a good jump on the first Immortal there. He does finish that off. Couple of Archons. Going to make things a little bit messy to fight into, though. 4 Immortals on the side of Firefly, using his own Prism nicely, but losing a lot of probes quickly, and losing power to his batteries. So at least he got the Super Battery mostly off. He kills one more Immortal. He's doing a great job cutting through the tech units.
I think that was a bad fight by Haas, man. He A, lost one of his Immortals immediately, and B, he fought for the entirety of the overcharged battery. Like, it was just standing there, healing up all this time. The other battery was doing its thing. And meanwhile, I feel like Haas's firepower was all over the place. Once more, it's Zealous kind of running ahead. You can also see that the Nexus has taken a lot of damage. Either we go all out on the Nexus or we go all out on the army. Haas still believes that he can make something happen here, but it's 1 Immortal against 3. A second overcharge is going to be available. There's more micro in the Blinkstalker army. I do generally believe that Haas could have been able to get the job done there, but I think he just kind of butchered the attack a little. I think he really could have executed that better.
No, absolutely. It felt like he had so much more potential, and, well, I mean, at this point, Firefly whoops in yet another DT, by the way. Going to send that across the map, try and put some harassment into a third base that's only just now starting from Haas, realizing he's not broken through here. Has to go into backup territory mode, and, well, he's ahead on workers, but without the third to use... he's ahead on the +2 attack. Firefly still has Blink to just utilize, right? Just look for openings, opportunities, and that's one of the advantages he can really put into play at the moment as well.
One nice thing for Haas is that he does still have that Oracle flying around. So A, that's always at backup detection, just in case you lose your observers and things get gnarly. And B, that observer is still kind of forcing Firefly to keep a couple of units at home. But we have another forward blink. Last time around, this guaranteed a Nexus kill. This time around, that is not going to happen, as the Nexus does have some more HP. The War Prism with 2 Immortals flying into the main base. Obviously, Firefly's like, hey, you lost that Phoenix, and I've got Blink, but you don't have Blink. And dealing with a War Prism and 2 Immortals in your main base is difficult, but we have the overcharge. Battery gets on power, though. A couple of Zealots are at least going to be nice. There's still the Cannon in the mix. Good defense by Haas. That could have been worse, as the 2 armies were also flirting with each other.
Yeah, that could have actually been much worse. The DTs got dealt with nicely. That got warped in as well, so very well handled. And we do have, well, like you said, the army's flirting. Firefly has so many Stalkers here. This army of Haas does not look like that great. Like, 3 walls is nice, but the Stalkers have a lot of just, fire and get out of potential, so I'm a little afraid he might be in a bit of trouble if he's not careful, so things to watch out for.
Firefly needs to recall, by the way. Phoenix is out. Phoenix can start chipping away, and he does hit that snap recall. Very well done there. Don't be stubborn, right? Don't try to get out, because you're just going to make life harder on yourself. Firefly now warps in 4 DTs. Could potentially just morph them into Archons immediately, as he goes up to another base in the bottom left side, while still only being at 52 probes, but I don't hate it. I think we sniped the Oracle there finally, as that one Phoenix is going to come in somewhat handy. Man, I really think that Haas would have been absolutely cooking in this game if he would have continued Phoenix production. And I know you don't trust me when it comes from me, Wardy, but I really think that Phoenixes would have complemented the Immortals and the Zealots with charge so well, as he now does fire up a second Phoenix.
Yeah, no, he's thinking about it now, but maybe the opportunity has passed. I'm with you. Like, if you can shut down some of these units and keep them in place, let the Immortals and Zealots take advantage, brilliant. And once again, these Stalkers and their mobility is really going a long way. They've found so much repeatedly, kills off a Phoenix right there. And it's just going to get a few more Zealots as we start to get out. And these Stalkers have found so much value. Like, they really have added up. That blink that Firefly invested into early, where Haas did not, it's been invaluable to him, honestly.
But it's still a very competitive game. 90 armies playing against 90 army supply, and Haas is... well, he's not going to get +3. He never invested in there. That is nice micro on the Immortal. Good job there by Haas. Gets a lot of shots off, as he's going to give himself a little bit more area. Firefly thinks that he can just go ahead and do this, but we saw the power of the batteries. Now, I don't think Firefly will ever give Haas a fight as good as the previous one, as another Phoenix died. This is a beautiful position for Firefly to fight, right? Look at the Archons doing their thing. Look at the Stalkers just standing away, far away. The Immortals showed up a little bit late to the party, but I still love it, because all those batteries of Haas are not doing the same thing as the batteries of Firefly were doing on the other side of the map.
And a couple of DTs as well, just absolutely no answer to that. Haas lost his observers.